Here Green Means goes again, spewing unhelpful rhetoric into the betting ecosystem. This video is not meant to ruffle feathers. It's not meant to be prescriptive. All it's meant to do is provide a perspective that I think is missed in the gambling world. I'm not saying this is the best practice for everyone, but I'm saying that in the 4 to 5 years that I have been sports betting, we'll call it professionally, I have learned a lot about sports betting, and more importantly, I've learned a lot about myself. And I think sometimes we look at sports betting as if we, the bettor, are a bunch of robots who can just click a button and then remove all emotion from it. And you hear guys on the internet, in the EV community, saying that they don't bet with emotion. Not only do they not bet with emotion or make their picks with emotion, they don't have emotion as it relates to their bets, which is crazy to me. I'm a rather sensitive guy and I feel my emotions strongly, and when I sports bet, it's no different. So today I want to talk to you about unit size. And while there is best practice when it comes to bankroll management and unit sizing, I've decided that over the course of 5 years, I have a different way that still works as far as making money goes, but it also allows me to breathe easy and sleep at night. So all I ask is that you watch this video in its entirety, and if you choose to comment and disagree with me, that is absolutely accepted and fine. I'm not looking for a bunch of people to hop on board and say, "You're right, Green Means go." All I want to do is provide the most robotic, emotionless EV bettors and the most emotional up and down roller coaster bettors a perspective. So let's talk first about unit size. What does that even mean? When you are sports betting, it's good to have a bankroll or an allotted amount of money you're willing to lose on the habit or addiction. Your bankroll is comprised of units or incremental dollar amounts that make up your bankroll. Units are what you put on each bet. But how do you know how many units to put on each bet? The most widely accepted form of bankroll management and unit calculation is using something called Kelly criterion. What Kelly criterion does is it takes your bankroll and then it looks at each individual bet and says, number 1, how likely is this bet to hit? And number 2, what is my edge? The more likely a bet is to hit and the bigger the edge calls for a larger bet. If a bet is rather unlikely to win or your edge is small, then it calls for a much smaller unit. In short, if the probability of the bet hitting is high and your edge is high, you bet big. If the probability is high and the edge is small, you bet medium, and vice versa. And if the probability is small and the edge is small, you bet small. And that's great if we were all robots, which we are not. And some people, like I said, some of you, maybe even watching this video, can approach sports betting as a robot. You can remove all the emotion from wins and losses, and you can understand that following Kelly criterion betting practices for the long term will result in money made. But I want to ask you a question. Why do you want to make money? What is the purpose of sports betting? Most of us would say to make money. Yes, it does make games more interesting, but at the end of the day, we are all trying to do the same thing, and that's win as much money as possible. And if you don't believe me, go look at Twitter because everyone's obsessed with posting their gosh darn picket slips. What's with that? Why does it matter? Why do you care about showing everybody how much money you made? Isn't that a bit bizarre to you guys? It's weird. It's weird. And why do we want to make money? Because money will bring joy. Money will bring freedom. Money will bring more opportunities. Money will allow us to have more things, and maybe we'll have to work less at our actual jobs. We want money because money brings happiness. Or so we think. I'm just going to assume that that is a fairly accepted idea of why we sports bet. And some people may argue that if the end result brings happiness, in other words, if we make money by following Kelly criterion or sticking to a certain standard of unit sizing that results in profits, if we face some losses along the way and get upset along the way, that by the end of our sports betting life, when all is said and done and we've made a profit, all of those frustrations and angers during the small daily bets will be eviscerated, which I think there is some worth to that. But the way I approach it is a little bit different. If the end goal is money and money brings happiness, can we strive to make the daily betting experience a happy one? Or at least not a negative or sad one? So here's a personal anecdote and what kind of sparked the idea for this video. espnbet, which I will add is probably one of the best books at the start of 2025. They offer amazing promos. They're not paying me to say this. It's just me trying to help you. A lot of you are on FanDuel and DraftKings, but espnbet has been the best book to me as far as promos go for the last 3 months. Anyway, they offer about 6 to 10 promos every single day, and for a while the maximum bet was $25, and I felt good betting $25. When I lost, I didn't feel too bad about it. $25 is appropriate for my bankroll, but it's also appropriate for my emotions. But about a month ago, they upped the max from $25 to $50. And even though I complain about people posting their picket slips and telling you how much they made, I need to clarify that some may say, well, maybe $50 doesn't fit your bankroll. $50 is fine for my bankroll, for the edge that I'm getting on these boosts. $50 matches my Kelly criterion. That's not the point. The point is, when I lost a $50 bet versus a $25 bet, I was significantly more upset. It had the ability to ruin my day more. So even though a $50 wager would be what I would bet if I was a robot, I was noticing that I was much more upset day in and day out betting this unit. I will also say that one of my weaknesses is being online a little bit too much, and this fairly popular plus EV Twitter handicapper fella tweeted about these profit boost max increases. And so I listened. I said, okay, I can afford to bet $50 on each of these, and long term, it's probably more plus EV or better mathematically to bet $50, so I'm going to do it, even though I don't really want to. Even though if this loses, I'm going to be mad. And again, some of you may stop me right there and say, well, that's your problem. You have too much emotion as it relates to these bets. Yeah, I do, and I can't turn that off. And I would imagine there's a lot of people watching this video who are the same way. I don't think that makes me a bad sports bettor. I think it just makes me a human. So what did I do? I decided that it was better for me, for my family, for my mental health, to stop betting $50 because I know I'll be upset if it loses, and to bet $25, which if it loses, I will be significantly less upset. And some of you may say, well, yeah, but when you win a $25 one, you're going to be mad that you didn't put 50 on it. But like I said at the very beginning of this video, wins really don't alter my emotions that much. Losses do. So no, if I win a $25 bet, I'm thrilled. And I don't often think, man, I could have had $50 on this. That's just not how I operate. But to blindly max EV just because the math says so isn't always the best for us as humans. It may be the best for us mathematically and as sports bettors, but it is not always the best for us as humans. I should also mention the point of making this video is not to sell these shirts and hoodies, but if you're interested in a unit size, doesn't matter, shirt or hoodie, you can click down below. It will take you to my Green Beans Go shop. And I've tried to make these as affordable as possible so that way you're not sad when you get it and the shirt sucks. Just kidding, it's a high quality shirt. If I had to summarize what I'm trying to say in one quick phrase, it's that sometimes these plus EV guys aren't guys, they're robots. And they try to get you to think exactly as they think, which in the long run is probably okay. In the long run, it's probably the best practice. But I would like to be happy each and every night. I would imagine that a lot of you go to bed checking your slips and wake up checking your slips, and a loss has the ability to alter the course of your night or day. And if that is the case, I would challenge you to think about the size of your units. Are you betting too much? Even if the EV calls for it. Are you betting too much? Because sometimes I think EV can tell us to bet a certain amount, or Quarter Kelly can tell us to bet a certain amount. But when we do that, if we're still getting upset when our bets lose, maybe it's time to scale it back to a number that when we lose, we don't feel sad, or as sad as we could. Because guess what? If you scale your units back, you will still make money in the long term. And for me, I look at it like this. If I can be happy every single day of the year, or at least not disappointed in myself for overbetting, and still make money, that's a win, not only in the long term, but in the short term. Peace of mind, happiness does have a price, and only you can figure out what that price is. If you told me I could make $50,000 at the end of the year sports betting and be happy every single day versus making $55,000 or $60,000, but being miserable 25% of the time because I'm losing bets that are bigger than my emotions can tolerate, I would take the $50,000. And if we want to come back to the picket slips, I think that's part of the issue. When people post their massive six-figure picket slips, it makes the casual or unsuspecting sports bettor think that to be happy, to really be good at this, to really earn a keep in the sports betting world, you have to turn a massive profit. And I just don't think it's that realistic for most people. Sports betting can be lucrative, but it can also be dangerous. And I would just challenge you to think about your unit size and decide what units are best for you as it relates to not just math, but to your emotions. The psychology of sports betting, not just the math, is something that I want to explore further on this channel. So you can expect more videos like that. And while at its very, very basic core, the math is probably the best way to go, we all are human and we have emotions, and turning those off is just not simply as easy as some of these plus EV guys seem to think it is. So with the money you save from cutting down on your units, really you could get one of these shirts or hoodies. It's just a suggestion. I'm not trying to force it on you. It's just an idea. We'll see you next time.